Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined today with my brother Miguda. Miguda, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, bro. Just managing over here. How about
Mm,
you over there?
we are doing fine. Jioni yako imekuwa vipi?
Jioni yangu imekuwa vyema iwapo kuna baridi na
Oh,
hali ya anga si ya kawaida.
kwa sababu huu ni msimu wa mvua kama sijakosea.
Hii ni msimu wa mvua, wase wanalima, wase wanapalilia mashamba zao
Mm,
wakitarajia mavuno.
tunasema kwamba tunatarajia mavuno mzuri, na tukipata mavuno mzuri inamaanisha kuwa hali ya mulo itakuwa imebadilika, hata uchumi vile vile itakuwa inabadilika, kwa sababu watu watakuwa na chakula ya kukula na mazao yao pia wanaweza peleka sokoni ili watu wanunue wapate fedha. Wale ambao watakuwa wamevuna mingi ama watakuwa wamevuna ile ya kupindukia kupita ile kiasi labda ambao au wenyewe wangetumia, wanaweza ipeleka sokoni, waibadilishe ikuwe fedha kwa biashara. So inamaanisha kwamba tuseme kwamba uchumi ya nchi itakuwa iko imara.
Ya, ni ukweli uchumi itakuwa vizuri hata wakati unapata watu wanapata mavuno nzuri.
Mm.
Hata kwa wale wenye wanategemea serikali watakimya kwa sababu kutakuwa na mlo. Ja, mlo ni kitu muhimu sana kwa
Eh,
binadamu wakati anapoishi duniani.
baadhi ya vitu ambazo zinafanya binadamu ama huwa zinaendeleza maisha ya binadamu ni lazima kuwe na mlo mzuri. Usipokuwa na mlo mzuri, tunaita sasa uko katika hali ya ukame, na inaweza tatisha sana hata nchi yenyewe. Unajua, kama nchi ambayo iko na ukamwe ama nchi ambayo ukame ipo, unapata kwamba wananchi maisha yao si vyema, na unapata uh, wakati watu hawana maisha mazuri, inamaanisha pia uchumi pia haitakuwa inaendelea, kwa sababu watu hawezi fanya kazi kwa sababu watakuwa wamedhoofika kiafya.
Hiyo ni ukweli, na sahizi kitu ambaye ningependa kukwambia,
Mm,
nimeuliza hao watu wakulima na wanasema sahizi ili ukuwe mkulima lazima ukulima inahitaji hela. Kama una hela hauwezi
yeah.
fanya vizuri katika mavuno juu.
Ah,
Sahizi
mm,
kila kitu ni pesa, ikuwe mbegu pesa, ikuwe fertilizer pesa, ikuwe au wanaokufanyia kazi labor pesa. Sasa sahizi ili mtu akuwe mkulima lazima akuwe mtu ako na doo. Kama uko na doo utafanya
eh,
vizuri katika kiwanja ya kilimo.
kama hamna pesa basi hautakuwa una la kusema, lakini kwa lugha ya mtaa nasikia wengi huwa wanasema tutakuwa tunapigana na hali zetu. Kama hali ni mbaya, utakuwa unapigana na hali mbaya. Kama hali ni mzuri pia, utakuwa unapigana na hali mzuri. Asante sana Miguda kwa kukuja kufanya kipindi na mimi jioni ya leo. Kuna baadhi ya vitu ambazo labda tutazungumzia kuhusu nchi. Sana sana sisi mazungumzo yetu huwa ina kita mizizi sana sana katika hali ya uongozi na viongozi ambao tuko nayo, kuona kwamba viongozi wamefanya kazi mzuri ili wananchi wakuwe na maisha mzuri, na hiyo ndio mazungumzo ambayo sisi tunakuwa nayo. Na saa zingine pia tunakosoa pale tunaona labda hawajafanya kulingana na sheria, na vile vile tunaweza pia kuwapatia kongole pahali tunaona kiongozi fulani amefanya vizuri. Hiyo ndio baadhi ya vitu ambazo sisi tunazungumza hapa, labda sijui kama wewe unasema vipi?
Ni kweli kabisa, kwa sababu unapata viongozi wapo wanapopa hatamu za utawala ama wanapoapishwa kuongoza nchi, kuna
Mm,
wengine huenda ukasahau ya kwamba ni wananchi ndio waliwafanya wakakuwa viongozi. Sasa wao
hap
huenda ukafanya vitu kulingana na matakwa yao, lakini wanasahau yale wanayofanya na wananchi. Sasa
mhm,
ningependa kuambia kwamba hao viongozi unapata sisi kama raia tuna jukumu ya kuhakikisha kwamba
mm,
tumekosoa serikali ama na vilevile kwamba kuwakumbusha kwamba iwapo wewe ni kiongozi waenda wakasahau hao ni binadamu unaweza sahau kama binadamu mwingine. Sasa kama wewe ni raia mwema, ni jukumu lako kuhakikisha kwamba umemkumbusha kiongozi wako ama umemkosoa kwa yale anafaa kufanya, na vile vile pia kuwakumbusha kwamba vitu zinafaa kufanywa kulingana na sheria. Juu sisi ni nchi ya kidemokrasia.
Asante sana ndugu yangu kwa maelezo hayo. Let me take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Uh, my good sister Dwari for joining us this evening, and I hope you are doing fine. Miguda, today we want to have a recap, especially on the interview that happened yesterday um, with former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And there's some allegation that Rigathi Gachagua laid or accused President, and they are very heavy. And to me, I kind of like, in terms, I could say that that Wamunyoro, especially Rigathi Gachagua, to be precise, might be very dangerous, especially to the president and his administration. Niko poa, asante sana kwa kujua kwamba uko poa. Sisi pia tuko poa na tunashukuru Mungu. And in terms of governance, when we're looking at the state and the country and how the government should be run, if you sit down and just listen to everything that accusation, I say that the Rigathi Gachagua levied or accused president over, they are grave. First of all, in terms of the international face of the country, how do the other countries, especially in East Africa, are viewing us? That is one. Secondly, the international, again, it brings back to the country itself. What kind of leadership do we have, not only in the administration, but in every department? Amegoza ndipo Gachagua. Ni kumoto, inachoma. Jana nilikuwa nasikia mtu anasema finya kabisa. But let's have accusation. Those accusations that Rigathi Gachagua was talking about, they are very grave accusations, Miguda. Maybe in a nutshell, what can you say about that?
Anafaa kufinya kwa sababu William bado anapumua. Anafaa kufinya mpaka William akaweze kupumua.
Yeah.
We have talked about the grave allegations by the ex-deputy. What is for about Mr. President? In what I perceive is that this someone who they have worked together, and actually it is a grave allegations because there are allegations that are relating to corruption. There are allegations that are relating to even international communities, whereby we understand that there was some allegation concerning the DRC issue, concerning the Sudan issue, that it has gone beyond the border, and that's why we were introduced the issue of the face of international community towards the country and the kind of a leader we have as a country, because we ought to have a leader who respects the international instruments. At the same time, we have to have a leader who is not corrupt. There are grave allegations, and that's why we said that if at all Mr. President is as innocent as his face appear to be, he ought to come out and substantiate, or he ought to coerce the former deputy to substantiate the allegation before a competent court, even though we cannot initiate a lawsuit against the sitting president, but we can use them for future usage. But they are not supposed to go the way they are going. And the reason why I agree with you, the issue of governance, because most of the things he alleged to Mr. President were issues that were supposed to be dealt with the governance, like the issue of public participation in transaction of the public businesses or public transaction of the country between other states. But there were never public participation. That's why the issue of governance, we can say that is a bad governance. At the same time, the person presiding is not a good leader. In accordance with the allegation by the ex-deputy, in my view, it is good because these guys have been together before. They know each other. It means that they can co-accuse each person, that you can be co-accused of this, can be co-accused. So they are co-accusers. Therefore, it's a good thing that at least there is revelation to the public that there are things that were being done behind the curtains, and actually the image of the people we perceive to know are not the actual people. The people are really operating behind the curtain, the real people. And that
Okay.
is, I can just say that it is good for the country. And now we should also coerce these people to substantiate whatever they're saying.
Okay, talking about corruption, and I want to bring you to speed about a corruption. I don't know whether we can call it a corruption, and I would start with the one that he said, and even this, the ones that he mentioned, even the prime minister mentioned it before they had a handshake with the president. The issue about the fertilizer, whereby he was claiming, he accused the president that the Russia donated 40 metric tons, while Algeria donated 30 metric tons, which were later given to Maisha Mineral Limited, owned by Ruto's business associates. And these were repackaged and sold to Kenyans. And remember, these were donations from other states, especially like Russia and Algeria. So there were a total of 70 metric tons, you know, and in the process of repackaging, that's where you remember the fertilizer were found to be having like stones and all that. The soils were in them. You remember the issue of this the scandal of the corruption scandal of the fertilizer, where then Linturi was the minister or the CS for agriculture, and he said that Thika Minturi was not aware of what was taking place, and he accused the person who was in charge. He accused the president and the head of public service, Henry Kosgei. Is it Kosgei, to be behind this, and he protested from Muturi. That is one of the allegation or accusation that deputy president is leveling against this president. What does that one speak about the country? These were free for Kenyans, and made the Kenya ended buying.
It was corruption even before the revelation by the deputy president X. Raila Odinga
Mhm.
talked about it. And
Yeah.
even me, I was a victim because I purchased fertilizer. And when I purchased fertilizer, when I went to my farm and I
Mhm.
did my things over there, but
Mhm.
I the the result I got from the previous one was different because I believe that there was an interference with the fertilizer. That one I can attest because I'm a victim. And even the currently I've also put some seed on the ground, but there is a difference because I went and purchased a different fertilizer from the one which was from Maisha Millers.
Mhm.
Millers. And the reason why it is something that is incorrect, because if there were 70 metric tons, according to me, and
Yeah.
they were deposited into the Maisha Millers, I
Mhm.
believe that Mr. President is having shares there. And if
Mhm.
they were 70, so for them to be even they could have doubled it to 140, so they could have had some soil so that it could 140. Then at the same time, they are selling it to the people around 2,000, and they say that it has now reduced from 6 Ks to 2 Ks. But
Yeah.
now this 2 Ks, if you double it, if you double 2 Ks times three, it's gonna to be 6 Ks. So if it was 70 metric tanks and they had it to soil to understand that it could be even 210 metric tanks, they are
Mhm.
going to get the same amount, that is 6 Ks they have been getting. And that's how corruption is being done in this country. They will just lie to you that it is not okay, but actually they're going to double the product with whatever they're doubling it or triple it so that it can just reflect that 6 Ks into their income. And that's why they have not they have nothing to lose. So that I
Yeah.
think that's a serious allegation, and
Mhm.
because people have talked about it, farmers have complained, even
Mhm.
the former opposition have complained. Right now,
Mhm.
the XAV is complaining, and also we had issues with the CS, former CS of agriculture. That one can be taken to court, and because now everything is everything has come out, and we know where we can start from. So that one I can attest that it was a corruption. And
Mhm.
if you're a farmer like me, I was a victim because the product I received in the previous farm is
Mhm.
unlike the ones I'm going to receive currently. Even the way they have started to grow is unlike what I experienced the previous time when I went to farm.
Okay. Now, if you look at if you look at how the events unfolded, especially in the issue of fertilizer, you remember how everybody was complaining, and it went through Parliament. And the way Parliament, it went through plenary in Parliament, whereby Muturi was brought before the Parliament, to explain or to give testimony what he knows about this, the fertilizer. And you saw on how the Parliament really, really investigated that, and Muturi was found not guilty of being involved in the fertilizer scandal. Yet he was the person that was head of the state. What does this one speak about the public, especially the people that have given the mandate in the office to uh, work for Kenyans, because they swear the oath of office to work for Kenyans. Yet, when such like let's say that a corruption or a dealing that is unconstitutional is happening, yet you don't come out and speak.
That is now, that's why we were saying that we have lost our watchdog in the parliament. We have lost the oversight role of the members of parliament
Hmm.
because the current watchdog is having
Yeah.
a bone on the mouth. So it can neither back or it can neither bite. That's
Mm.
why we still believe that the parliament at large has been captured and
Yeah.
it has been members have been compromised. And I said that whenever there is any deal from the executive, it has been taken to parliament for plenary or
Hmm.
for questions and answers. The
Yeah.
executive will always get their way. And
Yeah.
that one is a true testimony to what happened with the former CS when you appear before the parliament. You saw how it went and the way it was salvaged by the current members of parliament. The members of parliament who were before him were they were all the minority and majority. That's why
Yeah.
I insist on the issue of oversight, that oversight which is for the entire members of parliament,
Yeah.
that each and everyone, be it someone in minority or in the majority, we have
Hmm.
lost that oversight role. And
Hmm.
even the watchdog is no longer interested to watch at the executive. I think that's where the problem is. And it is now clear because people have been complaining, the public have been complaining. People have said that if parliament imeshikwa pahali pabaya, but people have been, members of parliament cannot come out to defend themselves. I believe that there are so many deeds going on in the government, other than these are just ones happening in the executive and the CS, but even within parliament itself, there's a lot going on.
Okay. And Miguda, I tend to agree with you because, like, when you are voting member of parliament, is that the people have given you the power to go and talk in their behalf. And you find that fertilizer is coming and it has issues. And because even in the claims, uh, the Rigathi Gachagua uh, went ahead and said, according to him, that the KEBS gave a notice and told them, okay, the fertilizer that we have, actually the repackaged one, is below the standard, you know, and it should not be distributed. And he confirmed, still accusing the president, that the president ordered them, the fertilizer themselves, to be distributed, despite the advisory role or despite the advice from the KEBS that this is not okay, you know. And it went like that. The Kenya bought it. The Kenyans, the farmers, bought the fertilizer. And what conscience do we have in leadership? Yeah, when we are talking about the patriotism of the country, you know, how patriotic are you to the country? What benefit are you giving to the country? Or sometimes our personal interest overrides that of the country. And how can that one help us grow, especially when we are looking at in terms of governance? Because like majority of the countries we see, um, leaders usually take the interest of the country first, then their interest will come maybe second or third.
Just like I've mentioned for you when we were doing our introduction, that currently the role of farming, for you to be a farmer, you must have money and it's very expensive. And previously I tried using that government fertilizer because I
Hmm.
thought that it was cheaper one. But
Yeah.
cheap is expensive. mavuno haikutoka vile tunafaa kupata. And I believe that currently, even if you look at what we have done today with the agrovet one, the ones from
Mhm.
agrovet, the fertilizer one, the the seeds have germinated very effectively and very well. And that's why I insist that even we are going to add some top on the
Yeah,
seed, we are going to purchase from the agrovet. That's why I say that for you to farm currently, it
yeah.
is not cheap. It's very expensive. And if it's that expensive, the government is trying to please that it's cheap, and, but is the mazao haitoki
Mm,
vizuri. That's why we still insist that this is people, you must be very cautious with this. These guys don't care about us. They
mhm,
don't mind about us. Even if we elected them and given them the mandate to take care of the people, but provided their deeds are on, they don't
mhm.
care. And this thing is a circle in the parliament and the executive. That's why I still believe that even though we agitate for reform and
Yeah.
change as a country, but
All
we
right.
should start from the top.
Okay, thank you so much. And let's go to the next accusation that Deputy President, former Deputy President, accused President of. One, this is we are now trying to look at internationally, especially he accused the president. He said he accused the president also being involved with the dealings of RSF leadership, and he said he can confirm the meetings, everything, the RSF and the RFF, we call them the Janjaweed, you know, and what they've done, especially in Sudan. So many people have lost their lives in in their hands, to say, and this is whereby the deputy president is accusing the president of being the mastermind, as being like their leader, you know and a few weeks ago, or it's month ago, we saw them. They came to they were given access to the KICC, and they held their meetings, you know and now this is coming out. How is this one placing us, especially with international communities, especially with the Sudan, that country that has those the issues to do with this RFL? How is this one putting us in the eyes of the community, and in terms of international law? You know, Elomi Guda.
The issue at Sudan, can you hear
Mhm.
me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
The issue at Sudan it's an issue of an international interest.
Yeah.
And even as we are speaking today, we have a live case in the International Criminal Court, which
Yeah.
is the court that is responsible to deal with the crimes against humanity, war
Hmm.
crimes, genocide, and also war of aggression. But whatever is happening, even the someone was called, or someone at the ICC to respond to the issue at Darfur. And the
Hmm.
Janjaweed squad, or the Janjaweed cabal, have committed many crimes that are related to crimes against humanity. They have committed systematic crimes. We have heard that people have been displaced from one place to the other. As the
Hmm.
displacement is going on, we find that women's rights and children's rights have been violated. There are some
Hmm.
small children who have been denied the right to breastfeed. There are some
Yeah.
women who have been forced into genital mutilation. There are
Hmm.
some men who have been denied their access to their wives. There are some men who have been denied access to their children. And there are some
Yeah.
there are some men who have been compelled into rape. There are some old men who have been stabbed to death. So the atrocities which are being committed in South Sudan
Hmm.
are the interest of the international community, and all eyes are there. And even the current prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, the so-called Karim Khan, went there, I think, last year, and he had a meeting with the local. And he
Yeah.
stated clearly that he will do anything humanly possible to ensure that the Janjaweed they get rid of Janjaweed. And you will
Hmm.
find that the Hemedi, when Hemedi came to Kenya first, before when the DP was Gachagua was the DP, is the one who received Emedi, and he handed it over to Mr. President. This is a person who is related to a cabal that has committed atrocity to the people. And
Hmm.
we subscribe to the international laws as a country. At the same time, we need to defend and protect the rights and the freedom of humanity, provided wherever they are. And when the leadership of the country, we should be the forefront in
Mhm.
subscribing these international regulations or these international treaties. He's
Yeah.
making a treaty between Sudan and Kenya. In there is violation of Vienna Convention between these two states.
Mhm.
And those things, we usually advise people that whenever you have an opportunity, try not to interfere with the people's right. Try so
Yeah.
hard that you can defend the right. Because one time you will be catch the will of justice. But when the will of justice catch up with you, that's when you will realize that, oh, I could have, like this MP of Kapseret, Oscar Sudi, whatever is happening, if in case it can cause violence within the Rift Valley, he will be
Yeah.
the first suspect to travel to the ICC. And that time, he will know that he was alone. That's, as a leader, you must be very careful of what is coming out from your mouth. You are speaking
Yeah.
to the public because right now, the international community have their eyes in Kenya because of what is happening. And even if you engage with this for instance, international jurists, they are very much interested of what happened last year, 2015, in Kenya about the James.
Mhm. So, as you talk about that and expand on the International Criminal Court, and let's say the accusations that Rigathi Gachagua has mentioned during his interview, accusing the president of even being in business dealings in gold in exchange with guns, which he said are used to kind of like butcher what the children or the people of South Sudan, according to Rigathi Gachagua. You know, can all these utterances that Rigathi was saying during the interview, can they be used as part of the evidence to bail a case that is going through in the international court, or that might not apply? Sorry, I think I lost me good. Let me see what my good Asili TV. Where have you been? My view is that the rebel groups and atrocity should not be argument to use against group. Tell me a single group in power which has never did atrocity. Oh, thank you so much for your view. Uh, uh, None, but all of them have committed atrocities. But now, we are just having a conversation of what Rigathi Gachagua was accusing the president of. Hey, Miguda, you're back.
I'm back if you can hear me.
Yeah, I was asking you this based on the interview and all that former deputy president said about the group or as RSF, and as you know, there's an ongoing case that litigation in the criminal court. Can what he has can the the words that he was using during the interview, can they be used to build a case or to add on the case that is going on to as an evidence, or that is cannot happen?
Although we have already established case in the ICC, an ongoing
Mm,
case with relevant facts and evidence to prove
mm,
whatever the whatever the deputy president was saying yesterday already is in the ICC, and they are aware of the relationship between the Kenyan government and the Emedi. That's why he was speaking of something already documented, and there are people who already have that case, and it's with the prosecutor. And the prosecutor has also brought all the respondents who are appearing, and also the people who are being
mm,
answering questions in the ICC. So I don't think that just by mere speaking about the ongoing case in the court can
yeah.
be added, you can be added to be the witness or whatever the case. But because they have
Mhm,
already their cases, it's just like you are commenting on the ICC or Uhuru Kenyatta, the Ocampo 6. You have additional value to the case because already the prosecutor
mhm,
has all the findings and the case is live in the court and it's ongoing. Because it was deposited to the court register, all the requirements and all the detailed information were met, and there was no additional information. Maybe later, if they were be needed. But this issue of Janjaweed, because we know we are in the country, and if you are following it cleanly, it has
mhm,
committed so many atrocities to the humanity. That's what we are seeing. And people are concentrated in the human life, particularly children, women, and even men. And
Mhm.
it has committed so many crimes, and it has been established, and the jurisdiction has been established at the ICC. And
Yeah.
also, we have the evidence that there is a systematic killing whereby a section
Mm.
of people are being killed systematically. People are being displaced systematically. The violation are systematically, whereby if it's rape, it's mutilation across women, it's
Yeah.
rape across women and children. If they deny the young kids to get breastfeed, it's across. Even if they're having their tents, whereby they're taking some women to their tents and even impregnating them to have the kids, and they're being denied an opportunity to see their family until they give birth their kids. Then those kids are being taken to their homes. And after you are done with the breastfeeding, you are being killed. There are so many things that are happening in the land. And that's why we still believe that Rigiji is just trying to justify that
Mhm.
the Janjaweed and the Emedi are
Mm.
working with Ruto. And I think that they're using Kenya to
Mhm.
export gold to Dubai because understand currently I think there are some sanctions in Sudan whereby they cannot even export their minerals outside. So you can use a neighboring country to export mineral of your country. And that's
But
what
but
Sri
but
is trying to expose.
but that is a serious allegation, Mikuda. That is a serious allegation.
Yeah, it's a serious allegation, but what I'm saying that this Rigiji is not the first person who is
Yeah.
presenting that allegation to the public. It's already in the public and it's already documented.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And also, I think both me and you know, and our viewers know about the war that has always been taking place in Congo. For Congo has been one of those African countries that people of Congo, especially when you go to Goma and Kivu areas, these people have really have not seen peace. Have not seen peace, and here again, the deputy president also was accusing the president of being involved, and I quote some of the things that he said. So this is how the deputy president said it. It told her, I can confirm he has held meetings with M23 officials who are engaged in a war with the DRC, and I urge international community to invest Ruto's relationship with the leaders of the groups. This is accusing the president, and you know what happened, and you know what is happening. Remember when recently you saw the president when there was that disagreement when the M23 was advancing and occupying some of the cities, the president talked about calling the Macron, and you remember it did not go well with majority of African state. Um, they were saying, why would you first of all call the French government, and we have African Union? You could have, there's so many people who had those views that maybe the president went overboard. And immediately after that, our embassy was attacked and banned in in Congo. Yeah, and the president again here, the deputy president is accusing the president of being in business with M23. And remember, this is a head of state, and remember also the president is the chair, and he's supposed to um, be the person leading the East Africa towards to see that the peace is restored in that area. Yep.
The issue of DRC, you understand that the future is DRC, and
Yeah.
the future is DRC because we depend on the minerals which are largely in DRC, particularly the Goma, to do many transactions in future because you understand that the minerals are there are for you can use them to make car batteries, you can
Mhm.
use them to make drones, you can use them to like uranium, you can use uranium to make nuclear weapons, and also you can use them to make even the issues like the Tesla car. So the future about
Yeah.
innovation and creativity is in DRC. And I don't. Everybody must have interest in DRC, not only the East African state head of state, but even the people internationally. And that's why I believe that it has been there. And also, you have seen the issue of South African soldiers who are also killed
Yeah,
in DRC. And they are
yeah,
saying that they must go and claim for the lives of their soldiers.
yeah.
And when you talk about the issue of DRC, that's why I think that even the president himself must have an interest. And when Rigathi Gachagua is accusing Mr. President of what is going on
Yeah.
in Congo,
Mhm.
he is accusing Mr. President because he's privy to the information. Maybe
Yeah.
they have been having a one-on-one conversation. They can remember even in DRC Congo, there is certain thing that is going on other than the minerals. There is a farm of somebody in this country. There's
Mhm.
a plantation farm in DRC. Someone in this country, someone who is powerful, and our KDF are the one guarding that farm. So there are so many interests in that country because when there's war, you can do
Mhm.
many things in that country. At the same time,
Yeah.
the issue of corruption. This is why I want to applaud the GG and the JB Muturi. The issue of corruption is not easy talked about in this
Mhm.
country. And the people who have tried to talk about the issue of corruption, all of them have been put in their place. The people who were able to talk about corruption and are still alive today are there is just Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga could point Moi head on. Raila Odinga could point Moi Kibaki head on. Raila Odinga could point Uhuru Kenyatta head on. Raila
Mhm.
Odinga is able even to point Ruto head on. But the people who have tried to restore the lead of the country in terms of
Mhm.
corruption, they have
Mhm.
been put into their place. People like Jacob Juma, people like
Yeah.
Chris Musando. Chris Musando tried to restore the justice of the electoral justice of the country because he said that no one with the issue of transmission of result is going to deal
Yeah.
with it and the person is going to be cleared. Chris Musando was put in his place. There are few people in this country who can point out corruption. People can only point out manifestos, but no one can go to corruption because corruption is being done by a cartel. A cartel, you cannot know them by their names. Even your brother can be a cartel. Even your wife can be a cartel. So the moment you track the issue of corruption, you are not going
Yeah.
to get it easy. And that's why I have to applaud these two people because they are trading on a very dangerous ground, the issue of corruption. And also, the only person who has also talked about corruption in the city of Nairobi is Babu Oweno. All these
Mhm.
contestants who want to contest for the Nairobi governor, no, none has touched about corruption in the city. They're just touching
Yeah.
about party primaries, they're just talking about ODM issue, talking about my people, our people. But none has faced Sakaja head on and told him that, guy, there are around 43 billion that Nairobi is collecting. And where is this money? That's why to this issue of corruption, for you to get a leader who is courageous to talk about in the country, there are very
Mhm.
few leaders in this country. And that's why we have to support them because they are exposing the dirt in the government. And I told you, you will see them in the future that they will have cases in court. They will be chased. They will tear gas. People are afraid. You can't discuss about corruption in this country because the circle of cartels. Even your driver can be cartel and is driving. You can never know. That's why I still believe that if at all is exposing corruption, they must know
Mhm.
that he's trading on a very dangerous ground at the same time. And also, he needs to be very careful. And maybe he has also decided that kufa dereva, kufa makanga.
Okay, thank you so much. And let me take this opportunity to welcome Makobura. And I'm also seeing Gibson Corner on the comment section. I hope you are doing fine. And before I bring in Makobura and Miguda, before I lose your trail of thought, Kenya as a country has always been a safe haven or a beacon of hope, especially for countries, especially on this side where Kenya has been like a negotiating center, whereby if there's a disagreement in the country, especially like Sudan, they would come to Kenya and people would come and sign treaties. And with all this, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua is laying on the president. Do you think or do you believe that any country that has a problem that they want to solve their international wrangles, they can come to Kenya as a safe haven to negotiate for their disagreement in terms of governance or in terms of them not agreeing on how to govern the country based on what Rigathi Gachagua is accusing the president of?
I agree with you that Kenya has been a beacon of hope and Kenya has been a good. In fact, actually, let me tell you, Kenya is the best country when it comes to all this government formation because Kenya has enjoyed peace for the longest time. And when you have that peace, there's that room for political advancement in the country. And also the issue of Kenya has also been strategically the position where it has been placed. It has been
Yeah.
placed in a position whereby it is in the East Africa. and the bordering countries, most of them do have wars, and even how some of the countries got their independence, or even Kenyans never had any military coup
Mhm.
to go to independence. We were given the independence from the whites democratically by the people. There was no military advancement to get to power. But if countries like Uganda, there was military advancement. That's why the Kenyan issue has been accepted for all these East African countries. When we were comrades, I can remember we used to say that peace is sweeter than unprotected sex. That is when we were comrades. So Kenya, I believe that is the fact that we are peaceful. That is why the these other people are getting that convenience to organize even the militia like Janjaweed, even
Mhm.
the other ones in Congo, the M23, and even the Rwanda president is also an ally to this country because they understand that this is the country where you can transact those illegal deeds peacefully without any disturbance. Because there is nothing like military because of our constitutions again, because we have put the military into their place that they're supposed to be with the external attack, and they have nothing to do with the democracy. The democracy and the internal government is for the people. The government of the people, for the people, and the people. The people are sovereign, not military. The people are sovereign, not Mr. President. That is why there is that flexibility of people coming to Kenya. Even remember the time when we were having this suspect by the call Omar al Bashir. When
Mhm.
Omar al Bashir was a suspect with the ICC, the safest place he could come to Kenya, he even came to Kenya and enjoyed our national holiday. And
Mhm.
we were told by the international community to arrest him and hand him over. Then we
Yep.
never arrested him because Kenya is very convenient.
Mhm.
Even when we were having and this issue of the Ocampo 6, in my view, truly,
Mm.
and the victims were affected. But the
Yeah.
reason the victims did not get any justice. But if you read those cases clearly, it was
Mm.
crimes against humanity which was committed in the people of Kenya. But they had their way because of one, two, three, which I don't want to discuss in details. But I think what the bottom line is the peace we have enjoyed since independence and the fact that we have not prolonged into war as a country. That's why it's very convenient for neighboring countries to engage in Kenya.
Okay, thank you so much. Makobura, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you're doing fine. Today, we are having a discussion, especially on Wamunyoro Diaries. And this is informed by the interview that Wamunyoro had yesterday. And there were so serious allegations that he leveled against the president. And at some point, I can quote, he said that Ruto uses the state powers to secure personal financial deals. Yeah, the state power. So this is like a government, and a government is used, or the president is using the powers that he has, according to Wamunyoro, to do that. And serious allegation, we've talked about M23 that we've just concluded. We talk of RSF. What about what is your thought on those?
Okay, thank you. First, allow me to acknowledge the presence of our good friends
Mm.
at the comment section, Asileto TV, Batseba, Gypsy and everyone who is watching. Thank you so much for finding time to join us this evening. Again, I'm recognizing your presence and the presence of Miguda, the studio. Thank you so much, and Kazi Ikosawa. I want to give my comments based on what I watched yesterday, an interview that was conducted at Karen, if I'm not wrong, to the former Deputy President, Honorable Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua.
Yeah.
If the comments or the allegations, if the words that came from the former Deputy President describing the president are anything to go by, then I want to tell the people of Kenya that we are not safe. If the statements that came can be verified and that they are true, then the people of Kenya should know that We are at a point where only God can save us. We have to save ourselves. First, from the leadership of William Samoei Arap Ruto, who is the current president of the Republic of Kenya. Two, from his political cronies who are trying to manage or co-manage the running of this country. Those are my worries. Number two, uh, something else that I can note from that whole conversation is that the lives of the people of Kenya and also the foreigners are not at a good point. We cannot trust a government if we are supposed to go by the comments which came from the former deputy president. But someone would ask, are we then supposed to believe or not? I think the question is, just like the other day I gave an example, when the alligator comes out of the water and tells you that there's something wrong inside the water, when it comes out and tells you that the hippo is eating everyone inside the water, don't get there. I think the best thing is to slow down and not try get into water, because they are their habitat is within the water. That is how they swim. That is where they swim. That is where they find their food. It is an environment that they are used to. I think we need to get worried as a people. And if there's any action that we can take as a people, I think we better take it. Because if we don't, going by the kind of corruption allegations which I personally had, I don't think we will have anything to continue with. We will not have anything in the government to help us continue with the running of this country and even help our future and the future of our children. It is something that we have to get worried about. If we are supposed to go by the comments of Rigathi Gachagua, the former deputy president, about the deals which are being made within the Republic of Kenya, deals which are involving personal or individual to individual, and then they try bring it or make it look like it is a national thing in quotes, then we're not headed in the right direction. It is the worst thing in the entire world to use the name of a country or to come and make deals trying to, you know, picture it or to put the view that it is a national thing, but then the real thing is it is an individual to an individual. That is the worst thing, because the kind of sanctionings that a country can get and the people that stays in that country, it comes with a serious sanctioning. And those are things that personally I wouldn't want if I must as a Kenyan, because there are international treaties that Kenya signed with other nations. Those treaties are serious treaties. We, the people of Africa, we have been sidelined in so many things, especially those things that are done in other continents like America, like Europe. With this kind of behavior, if it is true that these things are happening, then we're going to find it more tough, we being the Africans, and accessing these other sites and getting the services have always been had. With this kind of behavior, we are going to get it more tough, and we need to get worried as a people. That's my take.
Okay, thank you so much, Makubura, for that. And this is just a conversation that we are having without involving Mr. Gitonga. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you're doing fine. It's quite a long time we've not seen you in the comment section, and thank you so much for joining. And this is a conversation that we need to have, and we need to have it as a country, and we need to give it like a larger view or a microscopic view and look at where is the problem, because I don't think like the problem stop with the president alone. That if this is the kind of maybe the dealings according to Rigathi Gachagua that is happening, there are people who are in these various offices that have been given the mandate, who have sworn the oath of office to protect Kenyans.
Brother
because
Ben,
yes,
allow me to cut you.
yeah,
If you watched, or if maybe you've watched also the clips from Honorable Muturi,
yeah,
I understand. I understand and agree with what you're saying,
yeah,
but I can clearly tell you that the buck stops with the president. He is the one who has the final say or the final take.
yeah.
If the president decides that corruption or such kind of things are not going to happen, maybe under the ministries
Mhm,
or Kenyan individual getting involved into such kind of things, he has a
mhm,
decision to make it, to give a yes or a no. But if we go by the comments of, let me just single one out.
mm,
If you remember this accusation from Muturi saying
mm.
that he received a call while at the airport um,
By
in
at the
Dubai,
lobby.
yeah, and that he was supposed to sign and then he refused. This is something that it was then supposed to happen, but of course with his authorization, and then he refused. What does that tell you? If it is true that that allegation is true, the way that story is being peddled,
Mm.
then I can tell you that the buck stops with the president. We should not blame anyone here, because under the leadership of the president, these things are happening under his watch.
Yes, but Makobura, I agree with you, and I agree with you. But the buck stops with him. But remember, and I'm looking at it in terms of governance. You know, president cannot work by himself. The people, he's the appointing authority, and he's the person calling the shots. And take for example the CS, the CS when they're taking oath of office, they are taking the oath of office to protect and to obey the constitution of Kenya, right? If you are ordered to participate in a deal that you feel is not right or is wrong, what does the law requires you to do?
Of course, to whistle it out or to take it with the relevant authorities.
True.
That is true.
So that's why I'm telling you the
That
system
is
the system that we have, you know, the system that we have, because let me just give you a typical example before I invite Miguda. Because let's say all allegation that the deputy president is laying on the president, one of the things that should happen, the parliament, if our parliament could have been a very active and a very good parliament, they have various committees, especially like committee of foreign affairs, because some of the accusation were dealing on the foreign issues. What could they do? Because they have the powers, by the way, because parliament is usually a quasi judicial, which means even if you fail to appear before the parliament or the senate, you can be charged. They can charge you. But what is the parliament doing? Yeah, those allegations
we
laid on the president. What is the parliament doing?
Yeah, I get that. Uh, but again, among the accusations,
Yeah,
most that have also come not from just this gentleman who has shown the door, but from close allies or people who have worked close with the president. I think the president is simply running this nation single-handedly. And again, just like it has been said, the president has pocketed in the parliament. The president has pocketed quite a number of leaders, both elected and non-elected. The kind of appointments that is given, be it to the national positions,
yeah.
cabinet secretary positions, parastatal positions, he has done this, and I don't know what is in the minds of the people of Kenya, because I don't know whether fear has gotten into the people of Kenya to an extent that they can't stand up and say, no, yes, you've appointed me, you've given me the mandate. But again, me as an individual, I carried the Bible and I told God and the people around me that I was going to follow the law. I think the buck stops with the president, yes, But again, the individual, the people of Kenya, the individual Kenyans also has a responsibility of standing up with the truth, a responsibility of coming out to remind whoever has appointed them, whether it is the president, whether it's the governor or cabinet secretary, that
Mhm.
I carried the Bible. As much as we are being appointed
Yeah.
by an human being just like me, the president, if he appoints me,
Mhm.
let's say to a cabinet position, I think I'm not going to be too much answerable to him. I'm going to be answerable to my God because first I've carried the Bible, and again I've also carried the Constitution and before the people, and I've said before a multitude that I'm going to follow what is in this Constitution.
Yeah.
If the president or the appointing authority wants me to deviate, not follow the law, I think the best thing as a Kenyan citizen, and not just as a Kenyan citizen, as a human,
Yeah.
is to come out and
Mm.
say, no, I cannot do that because that is not what I promised my God. That
Yeah.
is not what I carried the Bible and told the people that I was going to do. That is what we lack as a people. That is what we like as a citizen. But
Mhm.
again, this is something that we've seen because the political class has used religion to brainwash the society. They're using they're using religion, for example, Christianity.
Mhm.
Christianity has its teachings, and some of the teachings, if you are a true Christian, then there are things that if you're told to do by the appointing authority,
Yeah.
like getting into corrupt dealings, you will not admit.
Yeah.
But you're seeing this same political class. You're seeing the president who is speaking about Christianity, telling you, quoting the Bibles, going to church, promising things, and then doing contrary. And so this culture of, yes, there's Christianity, there's religion, we need to follow it.
Mm.
It back into the minds of the people who have been appointed. They're saying, if the person who has appointed me is not doing this,
Mhm.
why should I then do this? But of course, they are not remembering one thing, that in religion, you're
Yeah.
answerable as an individual, but
Mhm.
not as a collection.
Okay.
So people need to come back to their minds. That's what I can say.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Gypsy Corner for your soda. So Makobura and Miguda, we love to drink soda. Makobura, when did you drink soda last? Just be sincere.
The kind of cold that is currently in Nairobi, especially in the last few, do you say a month or two, has not allowed me to take soda. That I can testify. But I've been taking tea.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
yeah, I've been
so
taking tea.
you will take soda on behalf of Gypsy Corner. So Miguda,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when did you take soda last, my friend? Before I ask you a question, uh, let us
That's
be
actually
just be
me, I'm honest. The last time I took soda was 25th December last year. When I was invited by a friend of mine to their place after we have had our meal. There was, I
okay.
think, passion. I took a passion
All right.
Fanta.
Thank you so much for being sincere. So thank you, Gibson Corner, for the soda. So today our brothers will enjoy their soda this evening. Immediately we are through with the show, we will make sure that they drink their soda. So Miguda, we are looking at the leadership, the role of the leadership, and various departments or various offices that have sworn in or have taken oath of office to protect Kenyans or to do due diligence or deliver, be part of that beacon that delivers for Kenyans in terms of services. And when issues like corruption comes and it's passing through you, you end up endorsing it or you just keep quiet. What does it speak about the country system as a whole, including the leadership and the people that are working in it?
That's why I will still refer you to revolution. I believe in revolution because the basics things, like you have asked the issue of leadership, corruption, we have ignored the basics. I remember when we were very young in
Yeah.
primary, Marco Bura can remember also because Marco Bura was in primary with me. We are being asked certain question in CRE that ukipata shilingi 500 ya
Eh,
mwalimu ukianguka chini
eh,
utafanya nini? The answers were there. I'll return to the teacher, I'll buy chapo, I'll take to my mom. Then
eh,
if you write that I'll take to the teacher, that was
eh,
can be take. But if you buy chapo, take to your mom, were
mm,
marked wrong. I think that's
mm,
what's happening. That's what Marco Bura has just explained to you that if you are a leader, you are in that
mm,
circle, and you have done something, you know that if Mr. President is doing this deed, you need to whistleblow to the members of the public. You need to report to, don't go and also take something. And that's the problem they have with Gigi. There are some
mm,
things which Gigi and Ruto had in common. I don't know I can
mm,
attest. But now there's some that Rigiji took more than Ruto, or Ruto took
mm,
more than Rigiji. Now they are in that controversy. If we
yeah,
could have learned from the time we were young those basic things,
yeah,
that's why I begin by telling you basics, we could be far. And that's
mm,
why I sometimes I do support that a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha will restore
mm,
the country. But now the Gen Z are affected. We are the Gen Z. But we are
mm,
part of the problem because you can find some of us have been incorporated into this mess. Some of us have also been during the generation. Some are going there to be given dollars. If Gen Z
mm,
have been compromised, they're part of the problem. So the Gen Z is not
mm,
to this country them is a revolution. Because
mhm,
as a leader, it's just making sense. You are a leader, public officer. You know that this is wrong. Then you are saying that I denied rendering my signature because it was wrong. But if you deny it, why could you whistleblow by that time? It is good, yes, you never render your signature, but why could whistle the public? And that's why I told you, I give you three people in this country.
mhm. Okay. I don't know what's happening with your net.
So
Uh,
I respect Baba,
okay.
Oeno, and
Mhm,
I
mhm,
also respect the late Chris Musando. The late Chris Musando said that we are going to deal with this thing called transmission of the result, and we are going to do away with the electoral injustice because once we dealt with the electoral injustice, we are going to do away with this thing called system. But he was murdered. And Baba has been pointing out some corruptions in the country. That's why I
mhm.
told that right now,
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Migudi. Uh,
I
uh-huh.
want to. You can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Can you
hear
hear
you,
me?
but yes, we can hear you, but sometimes you break. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe I picked network, but I'm sorry for that. That's
Yeah.
why I'm saying I want to also encourage Rigiji and Justin
Mhm.
to that even though we have not all of us have seen and fall short in the eyes of God and in the eyes of man.
Yeah.
So if we don't stop living because we have fall short and we have seen before God and man, we must continue the living. That's why I want to encourage JB Moturi and Rigiji, even though they are corrupt before. But if they have opportunity to expose this guy, let them expose this guy. Because Baba has been captured in politics. He can only point Sakaja.
Okay. All right.
He can only point Sakaja. That's why I believe that let us encourage these people to continue unmasking this guy for the benefit of the country.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Miguda. And Makobura, when you look at the challenges that the government is facing today, especially in terms of coordination, you've seen that president has really um, uh, reassigned ministerial CS position within a short period of time. I think he has done it at around like 3 times. I mean, and when you look at now the chronology on how where this thing started, it means the disagreement between the president and his deputy did start. For me, how I'm looking at it, it start in the at most in the 3 months of their administration, and the contentious issues that were here was about money. That was the contentious issue. That is what I think. Because if you look at what the president was saying, for instance, the president was saying that deputy president asked for 10 billion. Yeah. And Deputy President is saying he was offered 2 billion. Then if you listen to, I think Kimani Ichung'wa was talking about 6.4 billion, and Itumbi was talking about 4 billion, something of the sort. So these are various figures that is being mentioned, and they're being mentioned in terms of billion. So from that alone, it tells you there was a communication on the billions. Yeah. So what does it
Yeah,
tell you? Yeah.
I think Gachagua confirmed that he talked about 2 billion.
Yeah.
So maybe let's use his on the lower side. There's those people who said 10 billion, there's those who said 6 point something, there's those who said uh, 4 point something.
Yeah.
I think that all points to the fact that the issue of money was talked about, and let's use the minimum 2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
2 billion was supposed to be offered to Rigathi. I don't know. Do you remember what he said it was worth when he was going for this post of deputy president? I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember he was also a billionaire. And the question that I'm personally asking myself is, well, he's a politician. He was a member of parliament from Madeira. Just because God gave him the opportunity
Yeah.
to be appointed as deputy president, to run for that post, and possibly they managed to get the presidency.
Yeah.
Does that just guarantees an individual to be given 2 billion from national coffers, from a country that is hailing from, corrupt dealings from the political leaders,
Mm-hmm.
from a country that cannot comfortably pay its debts,
Mm-hmm.
from a country that cabinet secretary in charge of, treasury keeps coming out telling us how they are facing it tough
Mm-hmm.
to pay the to pay the debts. This is the country where the president is coming out, and even the deputy and even cabinet secretary tell us that they did not get anything. They want to take 2 billion and pay an individual just because he ran for deputy president.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're not being fair to the people of Kenya. What I can say is this: the political class, let's be genuine, let's be truthful. These people do not care about the normal wananchi. These people care about themselves, their families, and their circles. Hawa watu wanapiga biashara. And the most painful thing is that wanapiga biashara na maisha ya Wakenya, wanapiga biashara na maisha ya wachochole, wanapiga biashara
Mm-hmm.
with the health of the people of Kenya. If you listened to, let's say, maybe the accusations, we're not saying they're true or not,
Mm-hmm.
but for such kind of, some of them, if you try follow, like, the issue of Adani, if you follow, you can unmask. We mwenyewe tutaona hapa naye kulikuwa na kitu. So some of them you can comfortably confirm by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And from those confirmations, these things are true. Me believe these things are true. And the question we are asking is, just if, for example, today I decide that I'm going to stand or to run for presidency, maybe,
Yeah.
and then maybe I become number 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe number 1 or number 2 need my support to just give them their support. I would be paid something like 2 billion. I'll just become a billionaire just because I stood for, these are questions that we need to talk about as a people.
You, you
Because
know, sorry, Makobura. We talk about the issue of money exchanging hands in the political field. Sometimes there's this money for mobilization when people are mobilizing, especially to facilitate maybe your movement. That is okay. But the idea of the deals, especially in Kenya, in the political landscape, is usually that I think it has always been normalized. And the reason why I say it has always,
maybe a question before you continue.
yeah.
From where I sit, I think if suppose the issue of 2 billion was supposed to be there, it was not going to be individuals' money. It wasn't going to be money coming from Kenya Kwanza.
Yeah.
It wasn't money going to come from UDA.
Yeah.
Where was this money going to come from?
Yeah, so those are the questions that we are asking. Let me see what Gibson Connor has written. 6 billion. Yeah, so I think it's just confirming, and let me confirm, then I will answer that, because like I think Imani Chungwa was talking about 6 billion, then Itumbi was talking about 4 billion. So total, or that one was around 10.5 billion. If you round it off, is around 11. So before Miguda comes in, or I answer your question, let's not look at where the money is coming from, but let us look at how system has made the exchange of money, especially in our political class. There is no step that any politician would take, especially when it comes to or want to pass a bill. I can remember, I don't know it was which parliament that they were saying that there was envelope that has exchanged hands. Even the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, the way Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, it was also alleged that the members of parliament, yeah, especially those who to come and impeach Gachagua, the money might have exchanged hands everywhere. Anything that happens, you've heard of Okiya Omtata. The other day he had the interview, and he was saying that he was offered almost around 200 million just for him to drop, not to proceed with the case on the finance bill 2024-2025. So it has been normalized that every time that we want to pursue agenda, or if you don't agree with me, you're pursuing something that is very right, we bribe you. Okay, you keep quiet, get this and sort yourself, without looking at the country itself. That is what I'm talking about. Look at even on how people usually line for members of parliament or even for leaders to be given all 200. I think the other, when the president was just about to go to Nyanza, you saw that on how was it senator for Kisumu, where lined up and people were given to around 200 shillings. Yeah, what was the main reason for that? So which means it has reached a time whereby we've made it possible that if we want to push for an agenda, we don't look at how benefit is going to be for the country, but provided that we can give you something small to make you think otherwise. So we've normalized it. And why is this one so? So the main reason that I think is the main reason why I think like the money has become like a decision-making table or a decision-making is because the people that have been given the mandate to serve in those offices have failed to serve. So which means that people are not getting the services that they need. For you to make them cool, or for you to suppress their feelings, you have to bribe them. That is what I think. So is the failure on the leadership, not only on the presidency, but is the failure on the leadership of the executive, failure on the leadership of the parliament, failure on the leadership even on the judiciary, failure on the leadership of all the offices. That's what I think. That if these offices can work and give services to Kenyans, I don't think you can bribe the Kenyans. Because if you make the offices work and everybody's employed, where are you going to bribe them and they're working and they have source of income? That's what I think. Miguda, maybe after Makobura, you can give your thought. Or Makobura, what do you say?
What I can say is that it is so unfortunate that in this era, in this generation, in this point of time, African leaders are still crumbling. And the reason why they're scrambling is they all want to be rich. They want to be trillionaires, they want to be billionaires. And so it is becoming it is becoming very unfortunate. There's a comment here from our good friend Asili too, is saying that I was expecting to correlate Gashagwa's story about Muturi and Muturi own story. There's two stories, although true, Gashagwa had his own narrative. Yeah, of course, I didn't want to use either, and that's why I single out. If you can remember the example that I gave about the billions. If you remember, the president said, Gashagwa wanted 10 billion. Ishungwa was saying about 6, and then Itumbi said something like 2 point something, and Gashagwa said 2 billion. And so I just decided to use the minimum amount, that is 2 billion, to just try put out what I wanted to put out. I think it's so unfair that the political class are fighting to get who is going to have more money, who is going to become a billionaire, and they're doing it blindly. They're forgetting that there's a huge number of people, there's a huge number of citizens who are suffering. There's a huge number of citizens who kwa akaunti yao hata hawana hiyo 100 shillings, hawana 1000 shillings kwa akaunti ya normal citizens. Wengine they cannot even afford 10 shillings, 1 shillings. And it's like a normal thing. It's not that they're not working hard. They wake up, go look for what to do. At the end of the day, they cannot even still have that 10 shillings. And you're seeing the political class are dishing out billions. It's now like a club of billionaires. Nowadays, if you want to get into politics, you're getting into club of billionaires, and that's why they don't even allow newcomers to join that club. Because if you want to join that club, they will ask you, who knows you? Who is your father? Who is your grandfather? Who is your father? Are you known? They don't want to allow new people because they have this mentality that if new people get there, maybe they can get exposed, or wenye wakiingia wataiba kuwashinda. They don't want to lose the number that they have acquired in terms of who is rich and who is not. These are things that we need to discuss as a people, because if we don't, I am not a prophet, but I can clearly say over here that with this consistency of the political class squandering and getting into corrupt dealings, becoming billionaires and trillionaires in the Republic of Kenya at the expense of the poor people, there's a huge, just like I'd said, number of people who are suffering, there's a huge number of people who have gone to school, they have no jobs, they own nothing, they totally own nothing, they don't have any car, any house, hawana hata wheelbarrow, they don't own even a wheelbarrow. And there's a time these people will gang up and they will fight these people who are owning everything. And the question they will be asking is, even if I get out to fight, even if I get out to destroy whatever is there, the question would be, do they have anything? Wataribu kila kitu, because at the back of their mind, they own nothing. And the question again that we should ask ourselves is, how possible is it that everybody is going to school in the Republic of Kenya, doing what is required, just like the education system requires, and then just because you do not know anyone, just because people are getting corrupt dealings at the expense of the people of Kenya, just because wengine walisimama deputy president, they have a legacy, or they have, they are entitled to be given 2 billion from the public coffers. These are the questions that the people of Kenya will ask. And we have to fight for a better country. That I totally agree. the political class, let them come down and sit with the people. Let them understand that it is not possible. There is no country where a third, a quarter of the citizens are extremely rich or extremely rich, and then a third, more than two-third are languishing in poverty. It can never work. The When majority of people are poor in a country, you cannot expect anything good. Even if you become trillionaire, it is nothing. They need to use the money they have acquired to make life easy. Let them start businesses and create job opportunities. Let them start businesses and create job opportunities for those people who are languishing in poverty. Let them wake up, go do something, and at the end of the day, they have something to take back to their houses. That way, they will be satisfied. They'll not ask for so much. But if you see people going out to look for job the whole day, they have nothing to go back with to their houses. Their families are waiting. It is not easy. These people will not stand this kind of life for, you know, they will not withstand this kind of life, and you'll see them fighting back. So that is the message that I can pass to the ruling class. Miguda, maybe you can give us your last remarks.
My last thought, I would just like to tell the people that it is good. Let us not dismiss JB Muturi and Rigathi Gachagua because it's better for them to expose than keeping quiet, even though they were part of the system. But at least we have known it. Their revelation has been an eye opener to the public that this is what is happening inside there, and we are supposed to know. We have a right to know because this is our country. No one was invited into Kenya. The way we came is the way William Ruto came, and the way also those so-called system came. And we will live the same way people are living. So there is no need of you selling fear to people that because you are head of state, you can control NIS, you can control CDF, you can control National Police Service. Now you don't want people to point out bad governance. They are going to point out bad governance, and even if other people goes, people have been pointing out these things, so you should not be worried because even during Kenyatta time, people died, people are pointing out. During Moi, people died, people are pointing out. During Kibaki, people died. These things is a continuation, so it's up to you also to live the reality that if you're the president, you must also demonstrate the national values and principles of good governance. At the same time, we should demonstrate leadership and integrity. And this issue of this, one day they will catch up with this for doing this, and it won't be good. Just the way you have said, on 25th June last year, they were lucky. How I wish we could have revolutionized this country once and for all, because one day people will just wake up and say, okay, enough is enough. Not unconstitutional means the way they are telling us. We understand these things. We will transform this country constitutionally. One day we will wake up and vote for one person of our choice, and we will do nothing. And we will be the president of the Republic of Kenya. So do not lecture us about issue of unconstitutional. You must do this way. People are beyond those things. We know very well that we are a constitutional democracy, and when we want to transform the country, we will transform it in a proper structure in accordance with the constitution. And that's why you must differentiate what belongs to you and what belongs to the public. If you are fond of taking what belongs to the public to be your personal property, then it will catch up with you. It might not catch up with you, but even your children or your grandsons and daughters will be victims. So you are going to subject innocent people into what they are not supposed to be subjected to. Therefore, if you are given an office to serve the people, serve with integrity, honesty, and also follow the principles of governance, national values, and also say what you mean and mean what you say. Do not please people in public, but actually what you are doing is contrary. That's why we see believe that there is still time, and with the help of God and the people, definitely there is a light. One day things must be transformed in this country. It can take time, but what we know that it will actually happen. It was just postponed the revolution was postponed, but it will come out. For our viewers, thank you for tuning in for, and also for those who watch for the first time, kindly do subscribe this channel and also give likes, thumbs up. That's how you can support this channel. We are very grateful. See you next time. Akobura. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe my parting shots as well. Of course, it goes to the political class. Just the same way they are working hard to secure a good future for their families, for their children, for everyone around them. Close allies. Let them also use the same energy to try make life better for the people of Kenya. Whether in Turkana, whether in the southern part of of Kenya, eastern, western, central, because we are all Kenyans, we are under one rule, we are under one constitution. In one way or another, we will all suffer, no matter which part of the republic you are coming from. Something else is the level of appetite, the high level of appetite that we are seeing in the political class, the corrupt dealings that they are making, which are costly to the people of Kenya. One day they shall come, the people of Kenya will wake up and will take all those problems that would have come associated with those deals to their doorstep. And it would be them, whether they are there, or it would be their families. So let them tread carefully. Let them remember that they are all human beings and we are all human beings. If you do wrong to yourself, and it would hurt you and hurt people around you. The same way currently they are getting into corrupt dealings. Kenya at a point, sometimes we find it tough as a country to pay our debts, but not because we don't want. It is because the debts were taken. Instead of helping the people of Kenya, it was taken to the hands of individual. This is something that we have to talk about. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Gypsy Corner. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. And may God bless you. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you and bye-bye.